Hey everybody, it's been a while, but we're back with a I think the last one was in June, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
We're back with a brand new Press the Action Button podcast. I posted about it on the Facebook page, but if you didn't know, the 9th of this month, Monday, was the 20th anniversary of the release of the Sega Dreamcast. It was released on September 9th, 1999.
Definitely a while ago. Makes me feel old as shit.
Yeah, you and me both. The side note, it was also the 24th anniversary of the PlayStation 1, and I believe Final Fantasy VIII was released on September 9th, 1999 as well. There's a couple...
Yeah, it might have been, right?
I think that's the case, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But we're here to talk about the Dreamcast, so we thought we would do a little tribute podcast to it. As always, I am your host, Josh. With me is my friend Eric. Say hello.
How's it going?
And I suppose we should, before we dive into Dreamcast games and memories and shit like that, we should talk a little bit about the history of it and why this console was so important and how innovative and forward-thinking it was at the time. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying, yeah, it's definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah, okay, so coming out of the fourth generation, after the massive success of the Sega Genesis, and to a lesser extent the Sega CD really wasn't a flop,
Right.
but it wasn't a massive runaway success either, so I would not call the Sega CD a mistake. I call a lot of the games that were made for the Sega CD a mistake, but the Sega CD itself was actually pretty cool tech.
Yeah, in theory it was pretty sweet.
And it was also forward-thinking because that's where the next generation went. When Sony decided to put out the PlayStation and had a CD-based console, they started making some major blunders. The very first of which was they decided to take some tech from the Sega Saturn, which they were developing at the time, and develop an add-on for the Genesis called the Sega 32. 32X.
Right. 32X, yeah.
And this thing was expensive. People didn't know what to make of it. You get better graphics out of it, sure, but was it really worth it? The lineup of games on it was pretty fucking small. You know? It just...
Yeah. Plus, like, PlayStation was just, at that point, just killing it.
I don't think that was... I think that was 94-3, so the PlayStation had not quite come out yet.
Well, when did... Because I know they were... I thought... Did it compete with the Saturn?
No, they took tech from the Saturn to create this thing,
Right.
and then the Saturn was out like a year later. And the moment the Saturn came out, Sega just dropped this thing like a sack of potatoes.
Well, yeah, because Saturn came out in North America in May 11th, 95. So the PlayStation was North America.
September 9th.
September, yeah.
95.
So pretty close.
Yeah, and we'll get to that, the mistake that they made with the launch of the Saturn in just a second. But this thing was a massive flop. They spent quite a bit of money on R&D for this thing to come out and be a massive critical commercial failure. It was ill-advised. They probably should have just rode out the remainder of the Genesis life until the Saturn came out. And it hurt the trust from a lot of consumers of that, which ultimately I think partially what hurt the Saturn. But they made a big mistake when developing the Saturn as well. because I don't know if you remember this, but they panicked because the Saturn was going to come out around the same time as the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
And they got worried about the PlayStation, and then they launched the Saturn like 5 months early.
Right.
And they didn't tell their developers that this. So imagine like you're a developer, you're developing a brand new game for a brand new console. You're like, we got 5 months to polish this bad boy, and then it's out for launch, and then boom, the Saturn's on store shelves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not near enough time.
They burned a lot of bridges by doing that. So that they had back-to-back massive failures. The Saturn was on store shelves for a couple of years, and there really aren't that many must-have games for it.
No, I mean, Jesus. You could think of, I know that there was Virtua Fighter 4 and Panzer Dragoon, but
Nights into Dreams.
Yeah. I'm trying to even think what else.
Yeah, that's I mean, it had a port of Doom that's supposed to be terrible. I think it had a port of Doom. I know it had a port of Symphony of the Night as well.
Right. Well, yeah. I think every console ever's had one now.
And the first Tomb Raider was originally developed on that console.
Because when the Saturn came out, I think it did pretty well at the start in Japan, but North America was absolutely bombed.
Yeah, and they also made it very difficult to program for, because the Saturn started out its life as a CD-based 32-bit console that pushed sprites. They were going to make sprite artwork better, because in like 91 or whatever, when they started developing it, you had no reason to think that Doom was going to come out and turn the entire industry upside down and go, everything's got to be 3D now. We got to catch up to Doom.
Plus, you remember they were making a Sonic game for it that they canceled.
Yeah.
So then they didn't have a big Sonic game for it.
Yeah, what was that called? Sonic Extreme?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah, that's like the most '90s name ever. You know?
Yeah, everything was extreme.
Yeah. So they decided to slap another processor in there so it could push polygons and make it a 3D console. Well, the problem with running with two processors is that shit makes it hard to develop. Developers didn't like that very much. And Sony's console was hard to develop for as well, but you kind of have to learn because it sold 100 million units, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, what the Saturn sold 9 or 10 total.
Yeah. It it flopped like the Wii U flopped. That's perspective. It flopped like the Wii U flopped. And then they came out with then they're like, okay, we're going to stop working on the Saturn, and we're going to work on a new console, and we're going to do things right. And it had one CPU that was significantly more powerful than anything else out on the market. It pushed higher resolutions and better graphics than anything else out on the market at that time. I mean, and it was leaps and bounds better on the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64. And they did a lot of things right when they were developing the Saturn. It was developing the Dreamcast. It was easy to program for. They put a massive marketing push behind it, and at first it worked.
Yeah.
Because this sold extremely well right out of the gate. And it didn't hurt that it had 17 launch titles or something?
It was something like that, because I just remember Sonic Adventure, obviously, but we got a couple of those. We actually got it on launch day.
I didn't get mine
Toys
on
R
launch day. It was a little bit later, but it had at least 10. I know that much. It had Hydro Thunder, which was awesome.
Oh fuck man, I love Hydro Thunder. Yeah.
It had a survival horror game called Blue Stinger that, depend upon who you ask, is a so bad it's good or just plain bad.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what all. It had a bunch of games right at launch, and coming out with a good launch lineup like that is.
Didn't Soul Calibur launch with it, right?
Yeah, Soul Calibur launched, and that version of Soul Calibur looked better than it did in the arcade, which was mind-blowing.
That was a great, because that was one of the games we got, yeah. Oh man, that was a great game.
A tradition that continued with Soul Calibur 2, which also looked better than its arcade counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big deal back then, because that never happened at that time. Ever. And it was also a very forward-thinking console, because it was the very first console to launch with online capabilities right out of the game.
Right.
Because every single Dreamcast had a 56K modem in it, and that's slow as shit by today's standards, but it was good enough in '99.
Oh.
Yeah. And yeah, they all had a web browser disk, which was cool, and they had SegaNet, which was their online service that you could sign up for, and it was free, which was awesome. And I played a played a shit ton of like Quake 3 on that.
Right.
It was awesome. Let's see what else. They pushed progressive scan before anybody else did. I don't know if you ever had one, but there was a peripheral that Sega officially made called the VGA box that lets you hook up your Sega Saturn or your Sega Dreamcast to your PC monitor. And that lets you put out a 640 by 480 image with progressive scan for a sharper image quality. And it was really cool. It resulted in a much cleaner picture than any console up to that point.
I remember it, but we never did it.
I've got one for mine. Of course, there's better ways to display it nowadays. There's like you could get a third-party aftermarket HDMI cable for it. There's no reason to get a VGA box anymore, but at the time it was really cool. And last but not least was the memory cards were unique.
Oh yeah, to say the least.
Because they had a little LCD screen on them, and a D-pad and a couple of buttons, and there were games that would let you do things like download mini games that you could play on them when you weren't at your Dreamcast.
It was
go ahead.
Such a great idea. I mean, you think of just how ahead of the curve they were with that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the controller itself was clunky, and then you plug that memory card in, and they weighed a ton.
Yeah, it had two slots too, so you could have like a controller in one slot and like rumble pack in the other, kind of thing. Which is really cool.
Actually, I always liked that controller.
Yeah, I like the Dreamcast controller. It's a good controller. It could use a second analog stick, but that's my one major.
Yeah, holding it now, it's so weird because you're so used to having two analog sticks with everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like your thumb is automatically looking for it, and it's just weird.
Yeah. I still love it to death. There's still a lot of great games that are absolutely worth playing.
That's one of my favorite consoles.
Yeah, believe me, I understand why. And straight out of the gate, like, in 1999, there was a thing called Virtua Fighter and Tamagotchi. It was all the rage. You remember?
Oh, we had a ton.
Yeah. And Sonic Adventure, a launch title for this, lets you basically load one of those up onto the VMU so you could have a virtual pet from your console. Which was really fucking cool at the time. The Chows, I think they were called.
Yeah.
That was so cool. It's such a shame that this thing didn't get more love than it did. Like, I think they had just maybe burned too many people.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of internal trouble in Sega as well, too. Just stuff they couldn't control, and Dreamcast suffered because of it.
Yeah, and then there was one company that is notably absent from the entire Dreamcast library. And it's not a small one, either. You know who it is?
Oh, jeez. Oh, no.
Electronic Arts.
Oh,
if you wanted one more fucking reason to hate EA, there you go. They didn't make anything for the fucking Dreamcast, and that will cost you because they're one of the biggest companies in the industry. And
as far as the volume of games they produce, for sure.
Yeah. You and I may not personally like the company all that much, and there are a lot of reasons to not like them. But getting their sports games on your console's kind of a big deal.
Oh, for sure.
And they didn't. And that's not to say the sports games on it were actually some of the more fun sports games that I've ever played. Like, it's not my genre, but Sega sports games are actually kind of fun sometimes from time to time.
But if you think about it, with Dreamcast actually doing something with online, had they got EA Sports online, I think that would have been huge.
Yeah, that would have been a big deal back then. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame that they never got them on board. So, just write that down on your list of reasons why you hate EA. They didn't make games for the Dreamcast.
Right.
And this thing, it died in 2001, 2002?
March 2001.
Yeah, such a shame. It had 2 years on the market, and they produced a lot of great games in those 2 years. God. And then it was dead in the water. We've never gotten another. And then, by 2003, Sonic was appearing on other people's consoles, and you kids that grow up now probably are so used to that it's not a big deal to you. But seeing Sonic on a Nintendo console was heart-wrenching for Sega fans,
Especially because, growing up, I was actually more of a Sega fan. I had the Dreamcast, and Sonic was my dude, and my brother, Mario. So we would not, argue, go back and forth. I love Sega so much. I played my Dreamcast insanely so much.
Yeah, it had a short life. It deserved better. It's one of my favorite consoles of all time, though. So, yeah, that's some history on.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That's some history on the Dreamcast. That's some reasons why it was such a massive, forward-thinking deal. How it pushed the industry forward. God, I love the Dreamcast so much.
Yeah.
But, it got some, on top of getting generally higher quality ports of games that came to the PlayStation 1, it got its own lineup of great exclusives as well.
It really did.
Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 were both just fucking phenomenal 3D.
I don't like. I've seen people shit on Sonic Adventure. Don't understand why. I thought that was an amazing game.
If you want to shit on Big the Cat, fine, I get it. His levels sucked ass.
Yeah.
And if you want to say that it partially, it sometimes can lack a sense of direction, I'll agree with you there. But when I'm at a level like the casino level, or like the Windy Valley, or that very first one where you get chased by whales as they destroy the dock, I don't give a shit.
Great.
That is so much fun.
Yeah, it's a great game. I think it was the last. I mean, in my opinion, it was the last great Sonic game.
What about that new one that goes back to the old school style of the Genesis?
I didn't play it, but I don't know. For some reason, it almost feels too like seeing it almost feels too retro to me. I know how dumb that is, but I loved Sonic Adventures so much that I would like for someone to take Sonic and do something like that, like this big platformer. But it seems like they just want to go back to just the retro side scroller. I think there's room for both.
Yeah. And Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 were both great games. Mm-hmm. And then the series started going off on the rails when it quit being on Sega's console. Like,
yeah, no getting shit anymore.
Like Sonic Heroes is decent, but nothing amazing. Shadow the Hedgehog, we all thought that would be the worst Sonic game ever made. It wasn't. Because Sonic 06 came out. Right. Sonic 06 was envisioned as Sonic Adventure 3. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's
Thank God they didn't name it that to stain the legacy of the first two. But beyond that, we already mentioned Hydro Thunder. It's like, I don't even play racing games that much, and that game was fun as shit.
Hydro Thunder, I was obsessed with. Also, I was also Crazy Taxi, was a fucking blast.
Yeah. Later releases of Crazy Taxi don't have the offspring. How the fuck can you have Crazy Taxi without the offspring?
It was so it was so fun. And then what was it? Jet Set Radio. I played that game. I would be ashamed to find out how many hours I put in that game.
Yeah, Jet Set Radio was great as well. Soul Calibur, we already mentioned. Both of those, 1 and 2, were just amazing, and they looked so fucking good on this console. Like, you almost wish you could take people back in time so they can experience it for the first time over again to, like, look how mind-blowing this was.
Of course, my personal all-time favorite game, Shinmu.
Yes, Shenmue's amazing, and
fuck yeah, it is.
There are people that just get bored with it, and I get it. Shenmue's not a game for everyone, but when you suck yourself in that, the world and the atmosphere is so good.
It was a game for me. Like it was when I first played it, and it still is my all-time favorite game. That game legit changed my life. I remember playing it thinking like I'm playing a movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was so into the story, and I would just I would take my time and just walk. I would never sprint. I would walk through the town all the time. God, I played that game like crazy.
Yeah, and it was such an immersive environment, such an immersive world that they built in that game. It still is. Get the HD version and just drench yourself. As long as you can accept that this is not an action-packed kind of thing, it's a slow burn of a game.
That's what I love about it.
But that's what I love. There's nothing else quite like it, and I love it for that.
And that was so great about the Dreamcast, because you could put on you could put on Jet Set Radio, and you have this crazy experience and something's happening every 2 seconds, and then you put Shenmue on, it's like, all right, well, you're going to go walk around town, talk to some people, go to work, stop at the bar, collect the little toy collectibles out of vending machines.
Yeah, go to the arcade, play Sega arcade games from like the early 90s.
You could turn that on and play it all night and not do anything in the story.
Yeah. And okay, so experiences like that are kind of a dime a dozen at this point, thanks in large part to the success of the Elder Scrolls franchise. But when Shenmue first did it, it was a rarity to get games like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that a lot of people understand just how influential that game really is.
Yeah.
And I can't fucking wait for part 3.
It got games that were prior to that thought to be unportable to consoles. Like Quake, it got a very good port of Quake 3. A very good port of Quake 3. And Quake 3 was a big deal on the PC back then. But it was...
Am I wrong in thinking that the House of the Dead was on it?
House of the Dead 2, I think.
Was it 2?
Might have been a launch game.
I'm trying to rack my brain.
House of the Dead 2 was on. I played the shit out of House of the Dead 2 on it.
Yeah. Oh man.
That voice
I don't know if you've ever
acting.
played the Yakuza series, but you can go into a Sega arcade in the Yakuza series, and they have like all these old classic Sega games, and they have House of the Dead so that you can play.
Yeah, I have not.
It feels like a spiritual successor to Shenmue, just like even goofier and a little more over the top. But
Well, you say spiritual successor to Shenmue. Now you've got my. Now you got my attention.
oh, dude, trust me on this. Like, as long as we've known each other, you would love the Yakuza series. Believe me.
Probably from the sound of things, but yeah, it got a very, very good port of Quake 3, and I bought that, and I owned the game on PC and played that frequently, and then I would go, quote unquote, go to bed and be like, all right, I'm gonna go play Quake 3 on my Dreamcast.
Yeah. Yeah, it had Virtua Fighter 3, because it was part 3, right? Because that was the port.
I don't know. I've never been big on fighting games, honestly.
I'm pretty sure it was Virtua Fighter 3. It was really, really good.
Yeah. It had a, I never owned this, but it had a broadband adapter as well. Like, you could, like, who the fuck had high-speed internet in 1999, you know?
Right.
Fucking almost nobody had high-speed internet back then, but it had a broadband adapter. So you could still get decent speeds for... I guess you can't really explore the internet because it's advanced a lot in the last 20 years, but you could still get halfway decent speeds for online gaming for it, at least. And speaking of online gaming, there's a game that I am convinced would still have an online community today if the servers weren't shut down. Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, more than likely.
That was a big deal, and it was a big deal in general because how many? I don't believe there were any MMOs. Like, there were no MMO choices at all for consoles prior to that. It was the first one.
Yeah, not that I can think of.
And this is a really early days of MMOs too, because this is before World of Warcraft. That's how long ago this was.
Yeah, a long time.
But I I never played it. I love the Phantasy Star series. Before that, the RPGs on the original Genesis are classics, and the first one was on the Master System, but they were classics, but I never got around to playing the MMO. Did you?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think you did either. It did have other RPGs, though. Not very many. This was not an RPG system.
No, it was, I mean, it was a big system for fighting games, if I remember right. And then you had, really good racing games.
A lot of arcade stuff.
Yeah, a lot of arcade ports that were so well done.
Yeah, Crazy Taxi was so much fun.
Yeah, and plus it'd be, the greatest game of all time, Seaman.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They had a game on this thing called Seaman that, how do I describe it?
It came with a microphone that you plug into your controller.
Yeah, just like Hey You Pikachu on the 64.
Yeah, but just like way more disturbing. You would talk to like this little fish, and then it would, it would grow, and then it would get like a human face. It was so fucking weird.
Yeah, was the fish voiced by Leonard Nimoy? Or he was involved in it? Spock was involved in it in some way. I know that much.
Yeah, somehow. God, what the hell was it? It might have been, but I just remember like we actually got it, and it was so fucking weird.
The Angry Video Game Nerd did a video on it. Go check that out.
Yeah. Oh, another one I want to mention: Echo the Dolphin.
Oh my god, the water was so gorgeous in that game.
Yeah, like oh my god, that game is so. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just reminiscing about it in my head. It was so awesome.
Yeah. I personally never played it. I just saw like demos of it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh man, it was so much fun.
I remember this was back in the days when your consoles would come with fucking demo discs. You remember demo discs?
Yeah, the good old days.
And when I got mine, it came with a demo disc that had one of the Dead or Alive games.
Mm-hmm.
And this was young me was impressed with jiggle physics.
Yeah. Dead or Alive was very good for that. I remember there was always the rumor that if you put in this whatever the code was on a certain level, and it would remove all the clothes. And like an idiot, I sat there. I think it was like the EGM prank or something. I sat there like an idiot for like an hour trying to put this fucking code in.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna work.
Yeah, young you was also really impressed with jiggle physics.
Yeah. Oh, I was determined to get that code to work, which of course.
Yeah, but it wasn't real. You couldn't make them naked.
No.
But it was.
Young boy could only dream.
And it also came with a demo of. Was Tomb Raider: The Last Chronicles? Was that 4? Or Last Revelation?
I think that was the Egyptian one, right?
Yeah, I believe so. It came with a demo of one of the Tomb Raider 4, I'm pretty sure. And I had seen Tomb Raider on the PlayStation before that, and I was just fucking blown away at how much better it looked on the Dreamcast.
Oh yeah, I mean, way better.
The colors and like the color, and it looked and played so much smoother than PlayStation original, and probably hasn't aged particularly well because all of those games controlled like crap.
Yeah.
They're classics. That they were innovative designs, and they were doing things with the controller design that hadn't been done before, but they controlled like ass. I don't remember what else was on that. Did you ever get into Power Stone?
Yes, but not overly. We had Power Stone, but I just remember like I would play it and then I would want to play Jet Set Radio because I was obsessed with it, so I would always play Jet Set Radio and just play that instead. Which I kick myself now. I mean, Jet Set Radio was such a great game, but Power Stone was so awesome. I never put that much time into it.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Power Stone, because Power Stone had an entry since the Dreamcast, it was 1 and 2, and that was all we got. It was a 3D fighting, and when I say 3D fighting game, I don't mean the typical you can sidestep kind of 3D. I mean a large, explorable 3D environment that you fought each other in.
Right.
You had 360 degrees of movement, that kind of 3D. And it was pretty unique for that. And I remember, if I remember right, you could like pick things up and throw them at your opponents and shit like that.
Yep. It was really, really fun.
So there was a level of interactivity that was previously unseen, and it was awesome. Sucks single player because it's a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
So if you got a brother or something to play that with you, give it a try.
It was a Capcom game, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I believe it was. I was going to mention some RPGs, and then I got sidetracked talking about other games, and I didn't do it.
Okay.
Skies of Arcadia was amazing. Like, legitimately, it didn't get many RPGs, and the few that it did get are highly revered, none more so than Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah, Skies was amazing.
And you played a sky pirate. And do you remember his name? Was it Van?
No, you're thinking that's from Final Fantasy, right?
Well, 12 has a sky pirate. 12 has a main character named Van. 12 is amazing. 12 is fucking amazing. But I'm not talking about that. It's just similarities, the sky pirate in both of them.
Speaking of that, we have to do a Final Fantasy series podcast. But
yes! I could talk about that series for hours.
Yeah, that needs to be an ongoing. It needs to happen. We'll have to put that in motion. But
I need to.
Yeah, I can't remember the name from the Skies of Arcadia. It's been too long on that.
Vice. It was Vice. I believe it was Vice. But yeah, good, fun characters, a wonderful soundtrack, a large and fascinating world that you would explore in your sky pirate ship, complete with massive, dumb sails and everything that you would probably wouldn't do you a bit of good as you're flying through the fucking sky, but it looked cool.
It's all you want in a like a Final Fantasy-esque role-playing game.
Yeah. Plus ship battles. Remember the ship battles? The ship battles were the coolest part of that fucking game.
Man, I wish they would do like a remaster of that.
Yeah, the best we got was the probably objectively better version on the GameCube.
Oh, I forgot all about that name.
Yeah, it came to the GameCube as Skies of Arcadia Legends, I think. And they tweaked it some, like they turned down the random encounter rate. And that's my one big complaint with the original version, is the random encounter rate is too fucking high.
Yeah.
At times it feels like NES style random encounter rate take a step, battle, take a step, battle, and that shit drags, man.
Yeah.
But it was a very, very, very good RPG, and if you've never played it, fucking find a way to. You won't regret it.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll get something on that front, but who knows?
Yeah, and the next one I was going to bring up did recently get a big re-release, and that's Grandia Ii. Was originally exclusive to this console.
Oh, okay.
You remember?
I didn't remember that one.
Yeah, but Grandia 2 was awesome. You had like this, you had a talking hawk that went with you everywhere, and he was a smart ass. He was like fucking best character. But Grandia 2 was really good. And wasn't there one that had like Cocoon in the name?
God, that sounds familiar.
It sounds familiar to me too, but usually when people bring up RPGs on this console, it's Grandia 2 and Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an RPG console.
It just had a couple of very noteworthy ones. Ones that you should absolutely play. And Grandia 2 just recently got remastered with Grandia Collection, which I think was 1 and 2 remastered for current gen consoles, and I want that.
Yeah.
Because Grandia... I never got to play Grandia 1, but Grandia 2 is great. It got its own Resident Evil as well. Code Veronica.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. That was a big game for me because remember it was a limited exclusive.
Yeah, it did eventually come to the PlayStation 2 as Code Veronica
But
X.
I thought Code Veronica was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's... I don't know why people don't talk about Code Veronica more. I think it's one of the
such an
better
underrated Resident Evil.
Yeah, people go, 1, 2, 3, and then you get to 4, and I'm like, well, wait, go back. You missed a big one. You know?
Yeah, I think that with like 4 taking off and then the series changing, that Code Veronica always gets left by the wayside. But
yeah,
I don't know. I keep hoping because that they did that amazing Resident Evil 2 remake, and like I wish they would do something with Code Veronica so bad.
Yeah, and I heard 7 was a really good return to a more horror feeling style of game as well.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a first person,
which is different for the series, and a lot of fans bitched, but they can shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
the same fans bitched about 4, and that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean they sold millions of copies, so some people complaining didn't really matter.
Yeah.
The only thing is I saw, I know this is off the subject of Dreamcast, but I don't know if you saw the trailer for the new Resident Evil game, but it's made it so disappointing.
I have not seen it. Isn't it another co-op experience?
Yeah, it's a 4-person online co-op. Fuck off.
So it's like Outbreak on the PS2.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I kind of like Resident Evil 5 if you play it with a friend, but it doesn't really feel like a Resident Evil game.
No, if they would have titled that game something else, I would have been a little more okay with it. But just playing it, I'm thinking Resident Evil, and I'm like, I don't like this. And
yeah,
6,
they learned the wrong lesson from the success of 4.
At first, 6 is really cool because you're on like this like college campus and you're Leon, and it's like traditional Resident Evil, and it's great. The graphics are great. It's really fun, and then it changes, and it's like you can go like the action levels and shit. It's just,
yeah. I'm not against them experimenting with the Resident Evil formula, but fucking make it horror. God damn it.
Well, yeah, to me, it does. I know I'm getting off on a tangent. It just doesn't work when they turn it into this like action shoot 'em up. Because Resident Evil, I mean, playing the remaster of 2 and just how fucking intense that game is, and it's like you never know what's gonna happen. You're like on the edge of your seat, and it's not the easiest game to aim in, and you think you're gonna get killed, but then you put zombies on a fucking rail shooter game, and like it's just, what's the point?
Getting back to Code Veronica, wasn't that a 2-disc game, which, given that Dreamcast had significantly larger discs than a normal, not larger in physical size, but larger in storage amount?
It was Shenmue a 2-disc, or was it more? Was it more?
Shenmue was 3.
Was it 3? Because I was thinking it was 3 or 4, yeah.
And it had like a 4th disc that was called like the import disc or the passport disc or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the deal with that was. It's been a long time since I played Shenmue. But it was a 2-disc Resident Evil game, which was a huge deal because, I mean, the Dreamcast disc held 1.2 gig of space instead of the more traditional 700 megs, and they called it GD-ROM as the format that it used. So that, I mean, big fucking Resident Evil game with higher quality FMP and sound and shit like that than was on the originals.
Oh, it was. I can't stress enough how underrated that game is.
Yeah, it really is absolutely great. If you've never played it, pick it up for the Dreamcast or the PlayStation 2 or the re-release on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, or just fucking play it. It's great.
Just, play it. No matter how you play it, because it really deserves it.
Yeah. And ports to the Dreamcast also tended to be better than they were. Like, Tony Hawk 2 at 1 and 2 look noticeably better. Quite a bit better on the Dreamcast than they do on the PlayStation.
I had one of them before, and I cannot. I want to say it was the second.
Oh my god, I spent so much time in Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah, you and me both. Honestly, up until they released the one with Frapper or whatever that killed the series, I played the shit on all of them.
And the Ride, Tony Hawk Ride.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck that piece of shit.
Just talk about digging your own grave with that fucking.
Yeah. And then
I'll never forget watching like the E3 or whatever with Tony Hawk, and he was on there and he had the toy skateboard, and he was like, and you could see when he was standing on this thing, just you could fucking tell he knew.
Yeah. And then they did Tony Hawk HD, which we all thought was going to be an HD remaster of the first one, and it wasn't. It was like an amalgamation. You took a bunch of things that were working great in the original, and you somehow fucked it up.
Yeah.
And then 5 was a shit show.
Hey, yeah, I don't know. God, one of the greatest and like most recognizable, most important, influential, biggest game franchises of all time, and just talk about a fucking decline.
Yeah. It was largely because partially because Activision made Neversoft pump one out every single year. There is no reason to annualize Tony Hawk. None. At all.
No, I mean, but there's so many great ones in that series.
Yeah. 2 is still my favorite, though. Because 2 was the first one to give you a skate park creator. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember it.
Oh yeah, my brother and I would create skate parks, skate them for a while, delete them, and create new ones over and over and over again. It also had the create a player, if I remember right, didn't it?
I'm trying to think. I'm curious. Maybe.
Yeah. for a lot of kids, it was kind of like let you in on different subcultures like punk music and hard rock.
There was great music. There was always great unlockables. One of them, there was a level where Kiss would play.
Yeah, and it wasn't just always like the most mainstream stuff. I mean, Bad Religion's song "You" was in it, like, and you ruined my entire world. Fucking great.
All those, like, the soundtrack albums were hits when they would come out.
Yeah, and of course the 2 had the intro set to, what was it, Rage Against the Machine, Guerrilla Radio.
I think it was. Yeah.
That was so cool. It's like, I love this song. This is great.
Oh man, I loved the Underground series. American Wasteland was fun. I'm trying to think. I think there was like what was it called? Proving Ground. Is that it?
Yeah, Proving Ground, I think, was about the time
it was
started to decline.
Because that was like the last good one.
Yeah, that was about the time it started to decline, I think.
I think that was the last Neversoft one.
Before they took Neversoft off of that franchise and put them on Guitar Hero.
Yeah, but remember, like, Underground came out. Underground was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I know, getting off track again.
Yeah, Tony Hawk 1 and 2, fucking great on that system. And looked significantly better than they did on the original PlayStation. I love you, PlayStation, but those games were much better on Sega's console.
Yeah, I remember I want to say it was 2 that I had for Dreamcast. And I would just play it. I mean, hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, I had several stages in that game just memorized by heart back in the day, like, because I played them so much. And I remember you would always, like, restart. Sometimes you would restart a level over and over again because you wanted a specific song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody loved Superman by, what was it, Goldfinger?
What's that?
The ska one. Here I am, doing everything I can. Yeah, that one?
Yeah.
Everybody loved that one. They're like, oh man, I've got to restart till I get that ska song. It's so good though. Like, it also got lesser known. It got ports of Resident Evil 2 and 3 as well. I don't know about 1.
I want to say it did not have a port of 1.
But it got but I don't remember. But I know it got ports of 2 and 3 because I have 3 for the Dreamcast. That's where I bought it. And they were kind of lazy port, if I'm being honest. They ran a bit better and they looked a bit better, but you could tell they didn't put extra effort into making this specifically a Dreamcast version. They just plopped it on the Dreamcast and called it a day.
Yeah.
It also got a port of Dino Crisis, which I
That's
love
right. The whole time we've been talking, I've been in my head, I'm like, wasn't Dino Crisis? And I didn't want to say it because I could not remember if it was right or not. But yeah, Dino Crisis was definitely on it.
Dino Crisis, I played this on the PlayStation. I didn't play it on the Dreamcast. I wanted to get my hands on the Dreamcast version for so goddamn long, and I've never been able to. But Dino Crisis was fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite. You know, it's unbelievably fun.
It's legitimately one of the best survival horror games of all time. I love Dino Crisis. And the funny thing about Dino Crisis is you could move while aiming, and you wouldn't get that in Resident Evil until, like, 6.
Right.
What the fuck took so long?
No, I'm sitting here in my head thinking about how much I love Dino Crisis. I didn't have it for the Dreamcast. I had it for PlayStation, but
yeah, so did
I remember it did come to it.
It did come, and I've wanted to get my hands on that for a long time because I want to see how much better it looks. Even finding footage of the Dreamcast version of it, it's difficult to do because, like, nobody bought it on that system.
Did it get ported kind of late to it?
I think so. When did Dino Crisis come out?
Oh, man.
I'm going to look that up. Capcom, remake Dino Crisis next.
I would love to see them do an HD remaster and just gauge interest, because I bet that fucking thing would sell, and then make a new one. I wish someone from Capcom would sit down and explain to me just what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at Dino Crisis. It was released on July 1st, 1999, so it was initially released before
Dreamcast went out in 2001, right?
Yeah. It was released before 2000 it came to the...
Okay, yeah.
Sometime in 2000. It doesn't have a specific date.
But the system was pretty much becoming dead in the water.
Yeah, because by the time that came out, I think the PlayStation probably was already out, or everybody was all eyes on the PlayStation 2, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Which turned out to be, the best-selling console of all time, and I will be surprised if anything ever equals it. The Nintendo DS came close, but it didn't top it. It fell like 1 or 2 million short.
Right.
But yeah, got a port of Dino Crisis, and Dino Crisis was fucking awesome, and if you've never played it, highly recommend it. It had, I mentioned Blue Stinger earlier, which was an exclusive survival horror game to it. It had, I didn't mention this earlier, but it had Windows CE built into it. And that's not Microsoft designing the OS for it. That's Microsoft putting Windows CE software inside the Dreamcast so you could use DirectX if you wanted to on the Dreamcast, and just take a PC game and make it a smooth transition over to that hardware. Now,
did they do that to make ports easier?
Yes.
Because, like we were saying before, their arcade ports were like, it wasn't a chopped up version. Like, you got legit port.
Yeah, there are some discs, and it's a limited number of games that they did this with, but there are some discs where you'll boot it up and it would say something along the lines of powered by Windows CE. It'll have a splash screen for it, and that basically means it's a DirectX port. The only problem that those games face is Windows CE would have to eat up some of the system's resources, which means you couldn't devote all of the power of the system to displaying the graphics and the gameplay. So anything that uses Windows CE couldn't look quite as good as top-line Dreamcast stuff could. It was a sacrifice, but it's a cool idea, and it kind of ultimately means that the Xbox is a bit of a spiritual successor.
In a way, yeah.
Because they basically did the exact same thing with the Xbox, where it was originally called the DirectX box because it had DirectX software loaded into it, and that made it easier to port PC games to the console. So same basic principle, same basic idea behind both consoles in that regard. So a lot of people do tend to call the Xbox a spiritual successor.
Right.
I think the last official Dreamcast game was in 2002. It didn't last very long into the 6th generation of consoles. For the most part, it really just had a couple of years where it was big out on store shelves with brand new games coming in all the time. It broke my heart that it died because I loved it to death.
Yeah, I mean, like we've said, it's so underrated. I mean, in my opinion, if you put the Dreamcast next to the Nintendo 64, it's Dreamcast by a landslide.
Yeah, just straight up. Love you, Genesis. Dreamcast is better.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a fantastic console. I mean, so many great games, so many great ideas. Unfortunately, be the last Sega.
Yeah, Sega's final console. And it ultimately didn't sell particularly well either. Like, it had strong sales straight out of the gate.
Yeah, it did really well, but there were so many just issues they couldn't keep up with us. So there were so many internal Sega issues. It just because it's ended up selling about the same, almost neck and neck with the Saturn.
Yeah. It sold like 10, 12 million units, and that's it. And that's such a shame.
Yeah, it deserved a long console life.
Yeah. If you've never owned one, I would encourage you to go out and find one. Buy some games for it, have some fun, because the Dreamcast was such a great console.
Yeah, and like, if you Google Dreamcast gameplay, watch Crazy Taxi, watch Hydro Thunder, like, those games still look good.
Yeah, the low resolution games, low resolution textures, but they were bright, they were colorful.
They were smart how they did them. I mean, like I said, like the colors pop, I mean, they still look good.
Yeah. Good art design will make your games look good forever.
Oh yeah, Nintendo's been doing that for years.
Yeah. Naughty Dog did that. Like, you go back to the Crash Bandicoot games on the PlayStation 1, you're like, a lot of the PlayStation 1 games look ugly. These don't. It's the good art design. That's why it looks so good. And there was quite a few games on that system that had great art. And it was a technical marvel. It was brand new. It really was.
I'll never forget, so we got the Dreamcast on launch day, right?
Yeah.
And we got Sonic Adventure with it. Bring it home, hook it up. We're so excited. Get it booted up, like the TV, all the fun shit you do when you first get a console. It's like the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah.
Clean the TV and we put Sonic Adventure in, and the fucking game disc was damaged.
Oh.
So we had the console sitting there. Me and my brother both were so pissed. We had to go all the way back to Toys R Us and exchange it. We're like, all we want to do is play this game.
Yeah, you boot it up and then you're greeted with that guitar riff. Can't hold on much longer. Yeah. I will never let go. I love it.
Almost made it more worth it when we got back and with our good disc and put it in. This is amazing.
Yeah. Fucking this Crush 40's music is so cheesy and I love it.
They had a really great fishing game for the Dreamcast that you could get the controller. Did you remember the fishing controller?
Yes, I remember the fishing controller.
Yeah.
And didn't it have a sweet soundtrack?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember. Oh my god, what was that fishing? I'm gonna look this up because we had it. We had the controller. Do we play this fishing game?
Yeah, you wouldn't think nobody fucking plays fishing games, but trust me. Fishing games on the Dreamcast was so cool it made fishing games fun.
Here, it's Sega Bass Fishing.
Yeah.
It had this amazing controller that had like a fucking thumbstick on it. It looked like a Star Trek phaser.
Yeah. And it had like a little, like, a reel kind of thing as well.
Yeah. Sega Bass Fishing. Oh my god. That's perfect.
Yeah. This, like I said, the Dreamcast. So awesome that it made fishing video games good.
Exactly. Trying to see it like the soundtrack because I
did that get San Francisco Rush?
I don't remember. I remember it had one called Metropolis Street Racer that was like really fun. Did it get San Francisco Rush? I feel like it did.
San Francisco Rush.
Was it San Francisco Rush 2049?
I don't remember. I could have sworn I got a San Francisco Rush.
Let's see. San Francisco Rush 2049 platforms Dreamcast. Yep. Dreamcast was released on September 6, 2000. That was a great fucking game.
Yeah, that was awesome. I remember going on the stunt track in that game and just playing the shit and always trying to find the shortcuts. And I would do the exact same thing in Hydro Thunder because you would always get that moment of awesome excitement whenever you managed to find a secret or shortcut to help you win the race.
Right.
It had such an awesome sense of speed. Like the arcadey kind of thing was so much fun. It had another one that tried to be Gran Turismo for SUVs and trucks, called 4x4 Evo.
I know the name. I don't remember.
Yeah, what I remember about that is you would upgrade the shit out of your truck, and as you upgraded even the early races, the people would get upgrades for their cars as well, and it would basically become fucking impossible to win.
Yeah,
it had
but
it had a game based off that really popular anime Berserk, didn't it?
I don't remember because I don't remember the show.
It was a really popular. Anime's not my thing. I just
I'm not a fan.
But like, there are a few animes that I do like Ghost in the Shell's a fucking amazing movie, and I'll fight anybody that disagrees.
I don't think I've ever watched it.
Ghost in the Shell is a really good cyberpunk. Highly recommended. I could have sworn it got like a Gundam game too. I know it had a Godzilla game.
It did have a Godzilla game, so I owned it.
Was that any good?
Yeah, it was just like monster fight. It was fun.
Yeah, I never played that one. I played some of the ones like Godzilla Save the Earth, I think.
Those were a blast.
And those were so much fun because you'd get like a selection of giant monsters just duking it out, destroying the city while you're doing it. It was so fun.
You'd stomp around, and it felt like you were playing as someone in the suit. Remember, because like it felt rubbery and.
Yeah, which is cool because that's kind of how Godzilla should feel, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So the Godzilla Dreamcast game, I know you could play as more than one monster, and then you had to destroy the area that you're in like a certain amount of time. The whole point was to just wreak total havoc. It was really fun.
Yeah, couldn't you unlock Dr. Sarazawa in that game? Like a 100-foot
He was like,
doctor.
yeah. He was a big kaiju Sarazawa for sure. Yeah.
And he would stomp around while holding the oxygen destroyer in his hands.
Mm-hmm. And there were different versions of Godzilla you could unlock.
Yeah, I've seen gameplay of it. I just never got around to playing it.
Yeah, and they were like you had to fight bosses. And of course, they had the classic Godzilla monster.
I remember it looked cool. Like I said, never really got to play.
Yeah.
I wish it had a longer life.
If in my perfect world, if things would have been different, it would have not only had a longer life, but had a sequel, and they would still be making consoles. But
yeah, I would love a Dreamcast too. Speaking of the Dreamcast, I hope and pray that we get a Dreamcast then. How happy would that make you?
Yeah, that was so they just put the Genesis mini out.
Yeah, which has like 40 games. Like, go above and beyond. Like Nintendo didn't do 40 games.
Are they all legit, or is it some crap on them?
They're all legit. This is an actual official Sega product that isn't at games.
Yeah, I know there's been some like really shitty ones, but I know this was like a legit, mini. I want to get it because I have so fucking many fun Dreamcast memories.
Yeah, I would love to get a Dreamcast. Let me see if I can pull up a list of.
Yeah, I'll do that as well. I want to say it. Or Genesis.
Okay. Tetris, which the version of Tetris on the Genesis is actually pretty fucking rare. Darius. Virtua Fighter 2. Wasn't that a 32X game?
Yeah, I believe so.
Elysia Dragoon. I don't know what that is. Monster World 4, sorry. Kid Chameleon. Road Rash 2. Yes!
Yeah.
Eternal Champions. Columns, which is supposed to be a really good puzzle game. Dynamite Heady. Strider. Fuck. Yes. Light Crusader. Sonic the Hedgehog, of course. Echo the Dolphin. Castlevania Bloodlines. Oh, Castlevania Bloodlines.
Contra Hardcore.
Space Harrier 2. Shining Force. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I like that game. Toe Jam and Earl. Comics Zone. Altered Beast. Rise from your grave.
No way.
Gunstar Heroes. Castle of Illusion. World of Illusion. Thunder Force 3. Super Fantasy Zone. Shinobi 3. Yes!
Yeah.
Streets of Rage 2. Even more, yes! Earthworm Jim, which is awesome. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. There's Contra Hardcore. Landstalker. Mega Man The Wily Wars. I forgot about Mega Man The Wily Wars. Do you remember that?
I do.
There's like a compilation thing. Street Fighter 2 Special Edition. Special Championship Edition. Ghouls and Ghosts. So if you want a game to kick your ass, and as the Angry Video Game Nerd said, get the knife. Get the knife. Get the fucking knife. Ghouls and Ghosts.
This thing comes with 2 wired controllers.
Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle. Beyond Oasis, which is a good action RPG.
Yeah.
Golden Axe, which, if you've never played Golden Axe, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Oh, I'm dead serious when I say that Golden Axe is enough reason for me to buy this.
Phantasy Star 4, End of the Millennium, which is awesome. Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball, Vector Man, Wonder Boy and Monster World, yeah, I think that's everything.
So, you want to hear something funny?
What?
I'm currently pre-ordering it.
I don't blame you. It's fucking... What? Is it already out? I thought it was already out.
September 19th.
Oh.
Yep. Perfect.
I want one.
It'll be a belated birthday present.
I want one. And you know that the hacking community is going to find a way to add more games.
I don't even do that. Just give me the ones that are on it. It's $79.99. I don't give a fuck. I pre-ordered it. Can't wait. Perfect.
Yeah. I did that with my PlayStation Mini, though. On the PlayStation Classic, I added every single PlayStation 1 game I own. So there's like 60 games on it.
Nice. Oh man, I'm excited. Okay.
So yeah, I would love to see them do a Dreamcast Mini, and that would require a bit more work because Dreamcast games are much larger than Sega Genesis games.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could do it, but that would be such a fucking dream if I could have that.
Yeah, I mean, you could put like 20 games on that thing, and that would do most fans that would want a Dreamcast. You know,
100%,
they would be satisfied with those 20 games. You get 20 games on the Dreamcast, and you got probably have most of the best that the console has to offer at that point. Other than that, yeah, if you never owned one, I would highly recommend get it. Do you remember that Limp Bizkit had a deal with Sega for this thing?
No, I don't.
Oh, I had forgotten about this until I was watching a video celebrating this 20th anniversary the other night, and they showed some promotional material for Sega Online, and it had Fred fucking Durst.
Ugh.
Ugh, yeah, I know, but it had Fred Durst on there. It's like, it's probably me kicking your ass on the other end of that line. I'm like, God. I had forgotten that they had a deal with Limp Bizkit to promote Sega Online. There was actually a contest they did where Fred Durst signed a shitload of Dreamcasts, and then they had a contest so you could win Limp Bizkit signed Dreamcasts. Not sure why you'd want a Limp Bizkit signed Dreamcast, but you could get that.
Wouldn't that, like, bring the value down?
In my mind, yeah.
Right.
I don't want Fred Durst signing my fucking Dreamcast.
Yeah,
Fuck Fred Durst.
Now it's worthless.
Fuck Fred Durst. That's as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I wanted to mention that just because I think it's funny that they fucking hosted they fucking did the sponsorship with Sega for the Dreamcast to promote Sega Online, Sega Net, or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
Didn't the Dreamcast also have really early examples of DLC for it?
I believe so.
Because I thought there were like chows that you could download for Sonic Adventure 1 or 2 on it.
Yeah, but that sounds right.
It sounds right, but I don't remember. Like, it was a real trendsetter, though. This console was highly innovative, and it's dead. And it's such a shame that it didn't last any longer than it did, because it had more to give us.
Yep. R.I.P. But what a fucking great console.
Yeah, it died before we got the U.S. release of Shenmue 2. So there's an English release of it, but it's European.
Yeah.
And we never got it here in the States, and that's such a goddamn shame. Rest in peace, Dreamcast. We love you.
Yep. Amazing console.
It really was. You want to go ahead and call it?
Yeah, I'm about to drop.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Press the Action Button podcast here on the Doomdog YouTube channel. As always, I'm your host, Josh. With me is Eric. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us some of your favorite games for the Dreamcast, whatever. We'll talk to you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Peace.